Hello, and welcome to this week's live timeline session. Just a very brief recap of what this actually is. I'm going through the timeline from the Next Generation Clarinet method. The timeline sort of tells you how to implement the book and work through it and get the most out of it. And I'm working through the sort of intermediate timeline, the mastery timeline. As we've worked our way through this session, through the sessions in the timeline, we started off with getting the air and embouchure going really well. We moved on to getting the finger motion going well, voicing with the tongue position, and now today we're doing the last roll of the tongue, which is articulation. This is also exciting because this is the last one that's sort of the reviewing the fundamentals part of the book, and we'll be getting into sort of the mastering of the fundamentals in the next part, which has even more warm-ups and different kinds of exercises to go next week. So let me go ahead and pull up today's session. So we're working on pages 26 through 27, making a great sound part 3. And the purpose for this session is the other role of the tongue is articulation. It is important to be able to articulate without disrupting the sound quality. As you do the scale articulation exercise, see if you can play very legato so that the quality of sound is completely maintained even though the tongue is moving. Don't worry about the 3-part articulation exercise unless you have extra time, and feel great about the quality of the scale articulation. So there's some flexibility of the timing and stuff in here, and that's a really important point, that we want to feel great about the scale articulation before we worry about the next stuff. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes for the sort of length of a session. I'm going to run over here and turn the light on. Once that gets warmed up, my lighting might be a little bit better. Yeah, and then we'll go to it. So let me go to page 26 in the book. Great sound part 3. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and read through this too. This is a page of sort of instructions about the articulation / tonguing. So far we've been slurring everything. However, slurring is only one of many different articulations. All of the other articulations are created by shaping the note with the tongue. Whether you realize it or not, every note you have started since learning the sound preparation process has been an articulated note, because you are starting the note by releasing your tongue. Articulation within music happens the exact same way, except instead of taking a breath, placing your tongue, and then playing, you are already playing when you place the tip of your tongue on the tip of the reed. This stops the vibration of the reed while the air continues, then the release of your tongue allows the next note to start. Try the following exercises, where you play the first note like normal. Then, to get the following notes, place your tongue on the reed, and almost as soon as it touches the reed, pull it off back to the starting position, releasing a new note. Remember, as far as your air and embouchure are concerned, you are just holding one long note. It is the simple motion of the tip of the tongue to the tip of the reed that briefly pauses the sound and shapes the notes. So let me give this a try. So I'm experimenting with making each consecutive articulation feel exactly the same as the first note that I started. And I can actually experiment with how long I leave my tongue on the reed to make it feel like it's truly a start of a new note, which is kind of a fun exercise. And it also kind of resulted in staccato, but we're not going for staccato. I wasn't trying to tongue staccato. I was just trying to make every single consecutively tongued note feel exactly the same as the note that I started. For anybody who is actually working through this timeline along with me and watching this, notice how I'm really experimenting a ton. I'm not just doing the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes that are written where it's just you do the 8 notes and then it's done. I'm really experimenting with how I'm doing it. I'm paying attention to how it feels to do it, and trying to go a little bit deeper. I'm not just... Okay, my articulation's good. I did the exercise on the page. I played those notes. Remember, that's not really what this is about at all. You can play the notes on the page all day long, but if you're not getting exactly the quality that you want and you're not experimenting to feel and memorize how it feels to get the really good... Not that. Really good... to where every note is releasing exactly how you want and you feel like you're in control of making the articulation sound just right, then you're not getting as much as you could out of this exercise, and you might just go through it and not actually get really any benefit. So now I'm going on to the scale articulation on the next page. I'll go ahead and read the instructions for this too. Now try articulating while moving notes through a scale. The goal is to make each note sound consistent. Make sure the only difference between holding the first note and articulating the 8th notes is the motion of the tongue. The air and embouchure always remain steady and are always supporting a good long tone sound. This is below the exercise, sort of bonus stuff, but I'll read that too. This exercise is another great candidate to use a metronome and track your speed on after you have mastered it at a comfortable tempo. To add more challenge, try to continue up through the next octave. Make sure that every note comes out the way that you want by having a continuous airstream and an easy, relaxed tongue. So I'm going to do it just as written first, and really, again, go for that quality of sound, quality of note connections, and some experimentation to see what works the best and makes it sound its best. So that's exactly how it is written. I'm actually going to change reads now because I'm also breaking in reads. So this is a perfect thing to be doing during these sessions, is sort of working on reads, using them as your warm-ups. It's very basic stuff, so you can really take the time to work on the other basic things that you need to get done. There's also a bonus challenge on this page to go back and do some of the finger flexibility exercises with different articulation patterns. That could be a fun exercise to try, and definitely would fall into this session. I'm not actually going to do that, but I might do that next week and turn this into a 2-session block in the timeline. Remember, as always with these timeline things, it's not just you do it 15 minutes and it's done. Just like I was talking about earlier, it's you do it as many 15-minute sessions as you need to get it going really, really, really well. So let me see how this read is. Yeah, it's a little bit harder than the last one, but I think that'll work actually. So I'm going to do the scale articulation one more time just because I felt like it was pretty good, but I want to do it on this read, and I want to make sure all of the notes come out the way that I want right away. There was some like B and the A and stuff that weren't quite the sound quality that I wanted, so I'm trying to improve that and experimenting to keep finding the very, very best I can get. Yeah, this reed is much harder, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. That's a good trick if you don't know it. You can move your reed down a little bit if it feels too hard, and up a little bit if it feels too soft. It won't make it a great reed, but it'll make a difference for sure. Good, I was feeling a little bit of unsteadiness as I was going to the B and crossing the break, so I just wanted to clean that up, because when everything's steady, it works so much better. Awesome. Now, in the timeline instructions, it says only if the scale articulation goes really well to go on to the 3-part articulation, but the scale articulation did go pretty well, so I'm going to explore the 3-part articulation as well. So the instructions for this are, on the previous page, we were aiming for a legato articulation where the notes are almost touching, but there are many options for different articulations. Whenever you look at an articulation or note shape, think of 3 different parts. Like a good story, there's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Almost all notes start with a clear beginning, then either grow, stay the same, or decay through the middle, then end quickly, leaving lots of space between the notes, or at the last moment with only a tiny amount of space between the notes. The following exercise explores 4 common articulations: legato, tenuto, accent, and staccato. There's also a little table here that sort of gives a visual of what the different kinds of articulations look like and an explanation, but I think I know how they go. So I'm just going to play the exercise. And you may have noticed on the tenuto articulation, which may have been hard to distinguish from the legato articulation, I sort of did a little bit of a scale going up. And the reason I did that is because it was hard to distinguish from the legato articulation. And I think it's a little bit trickier to do tenuto on just repeating notes. So that's why I changed to a scale to sort of feel what a tenuto scale would feel like, because I have a clearer image in my head of what that might be like. And then I translated that to the repeating note. So that's not at all written on the page, but you should feel more than welcome to experiment in different ways, change the exercise up a little bit to get the goal of the exercise. Again, the goal of this is to hear those different articulations and get confident and comfortable with those different kinds of articulations. So it's much more important that you're finding that sweet spot and getting it to go really well. No matter what you have to do. If you have to play different notes, change the pattern of the notes, add some changing notes just to really feel what the right articulation feels like, that's great. Another thing that I do often, say I'm looking for like a really nice staccato and I'm not sure if that's the quality of staccato I want, I might play the opening of the Mozart's third movement of Mozart's Clarinet Concerto. And I'm on B-flat clarinet, so that's not correct, but I have an idea of like bum bum bum, like what I want those clear, beautiful Mozart articulations to sound like, then I could bring that to the exercise. And try to match that same kind of bouncy, light, fluffy character. That was a really loud, that was my timer going off. Sorry if that was probably even louder over the microphone. But that's the session for today. So always making sure that you're being creative with the exercises to get the most out of them and get the goal of getting whatever it is, whether it's the articulation, the finger motion, the sound quality, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're going after those real fundamentals, feeling free to experiment both with what you're doing and with what's actually on the page so that you can develop the muscle memory and the control for how to get everything going really nicely. So for my progress, I always do that at this point when I go to grab my pencil out of my case. Hopefully this isn't too loud. There we go. So for my progress today, what I'm going to write is this stuff went well, and I actually am just going to say try the bonus challenge next time. And again, I will probably do some of that actually next week. I'll try the bonus challenge. I do really want to demonstrate that it's perfectly okay and highly preferred to spend more than just one session on each of these boxes in the timeline. So I think I will do that bonus session, which was on these pages next time, the bonus challenge. Yeah, so that is the timeline session for today. I hope you found this helpful. It looks like we've had a few people watching and several likes, so thanks so much for liking that. I'll be here next week going through the next session and going over the bonus challenge, which is some finger flexibility exercises with different articulation patterns, which I think will be a great challenge and great fun to really iron out some articulation things and finger motion things at the same time. And then we'll be on to the first session that's going to have a warm-up included in the session. So be sure to stay tuned to that. Subscribe to the channel if that's something you're interested in seeing next time. And I will see you next week for the next live timeline session.